Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first video in my series on COP29. COP stands for Conference of Parties and is an annual climate change summit. This year it is happening in Baku in Azerbaijan. I'm going to do a couple of videos in this series. Hopefully I can get them all out in time because I am also working full time. I'm filming this on the first day of COP. And I want to do a little video, it's going to be fairly short, just on the key topics to look out for, what they mean. Hopefully by the time this goes up, I will also already have done my video on the Trump presidency and what that means for climate and potentially some flow implications for COP29. As of today, the program has now been announced, so there are 7 thematic days. You've got finance, investment and trade, energy, which is also weirdly combined with peace, relief and recovery, a day on science and technology, a day on human development and children and youth, a day on food, agriculture and water, a day on urbanization, transport, tourism, and then the final day is a combination of nature, biodiversity, indigenous peoples, gender diversity and oceans and coastal zones. So the COP happens formally over 2 weeks. Often the negotiations overrun and can often be an extra week, sometimes more. So this year the COP has been dubbed the Climate Finance COP because finance, investment and trade is kind of the hot topic of this year. One big development is a new annual climate financing target, which is going to be known as the New Collective Quantified Goal. We know that the funds needed to deal with climate change and achieve the goals are way too high, i.e. kind of in the trillions of dollars. Because of this can't feasibly come from individual countries' budgets. And so the discussions this year are going to focus around kind of restructuring the financial mechanism behind the COP to help reduce financial risks and hopefully encourage higher private capital investments too. Azerbaijan, who I said are hosting the COP, playing this slightly strategically, and in order to encourage a consensus being reached, they're looking to ask for kind of hundreds of billions rather than trillions. Obviously, hundreds of billions is still a huge amount of money, but it's still a lot less than trillions. And so they're hoping that by using this kind of language, it will make it seem more realistic and hopefully encourage greater donations from countries. Also on the finance side is loss and damage. So the Loss and Damage Fund was established 2 years ago in Egypt, and this is essentially a fund which wealthy nations pay into, and it is designed to provide financial support to climate vulnerable countries. The funds for this are also falling short. Approximately $700 million have been pledged since last year, but this is still nowhere near the $580 billion in climate-related damages facing developing countries. The second topic, which is I guess kind of an elephant in the room this year, is the US exit of the Paris Agreement. So with Trump predicted to withdraw the USA from the Paris Agreement, as he did last time, and I should say also possibly the UNFCCC altogether, and with Biden confirmed not to be in attendance this year, other large emitters, so namely China and the EU, are expected to up their commitments in a bid to kind of make up for the USA's lack of commitment. However, as said, given the state of the global economy over the last couple of years, it's unclear what countries are going to be willing to commit to. Brazil, the UK and the UAE, though, have indicated that they will be announcing new targets, which is exciting. Editing Tash just jumping in here to say that it's been reported that the UK will be announcing a new NDC. It's going to be an 81% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions compared to 1990 levels, and that is as per the recommendations of the Climate Change Committee. So yes, very exciting. The third topic I'm going to be talking about is carbon crediting. So regulations on global carbon trading, as per Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, will also be a focus this year. The UN has expressed plans to establish its own kind of centralized carbon market, which would be designed for countries rather than companies, as is quite common at the moment. and this is known as Article 6.4. This was attempted at last year's COP, but negotiators couldn't agree on the types of credits, the mechanism for generating these credits, and how they'd be eligible for trading. Reaching a consensus on Article 6 would be a big win this year. And actually the Climate Minister in New Zealand, which is where I currently live, have been selected to co-chair the negotiations on carbon markets. This is likely because New Zealand have actually developed their own emissions trading scheme.
Editing Tash, jumping in just to say that late on day one of COP, ministers were actually able to come to an agreement on the trading rules for carbon markets. They haven't actually published the agreement just yet, but they have published the decision, and so I haven't been able to have a look, but I know that it's come under fire for being kind of rushed and not involving enough stakeholders, but it is an agreement nonetheless.
So like I said, I'm currently living in New Zealand, and New Zealand will be in attendance this year. The Climate Minister Simon Watts will be attending COP29, although the New Zealand government has come under fire for rolling back a lot of climate policies and generally focusing more on adaptation rather than actually reducing domestic emissions. New Zealand has one of the highest per capita emissions rates in the OECD, while the country's official strategy to meet its NDC, nationally determined contribution, involves international carbon trading and domestic emissions reductions. It's kind of unclear how this is actually going to be achieved, because we do know that we are not going to meet our target on domestic emissions reductions alone. So that was a little brief rundown on what to expect at COP29, the big topics. I will share some resources down below, and I will see you in the next one.